And welcome back for the second day of my challenge. Or it's actually mine. Well, it is mine. Um so for those who doesn't know, I lost a bet recently, I think 3 days ago. Lost a bet as the word so didn't exist. So I told my father, no, so doesn't exist. And for those for those who know, so it's a real word. I must say, I am a quarter right by saying that so it's a kind of forgotten word, but still exists and is still used as the way we challenge. So here we are. The challenge itself is making 4 short videos by about any topic a day, every day, in 4 languages for 15 days. I can say, as you can see, it has been one day I haven't uploaded, but I have a reason for that. Okay. The reason is that I had a wedding, so I was in the wedding. So yeah, it still doesn't count. So today is the second day of the bet. And today, as you could see by the title, we're talking about 3D printing and what I think about 3D printing in its future. Well, let's first say what is 3D printing? 3D printing is basically you can print a product in 3D. Yes, they just said the same thing. You basically can make any project you want, especially with today's technology in home because 3D printers were not made for home use. They were made for factory use, but they get smaller and smaller and cheaper and cheaper until it is on most, okay, not most, but it is on a good portion and is a really important tool in a maker's tool set. And really, it is a great way, in my opinion. Well, let's first get to the positives, right? So yeah, this is 3D printing is you can make projects 3D printed. For example, I have this not my 3D printer who printed this, but this is 3D printed. You can see it's kind of flexible within. Okay. There's a lot of other projects here inside our 3D printer besides the metal lithium. But besides that, it is 100% 3D printed. And really, it's very cool. You can get decoration like this, something useful, which you can make by yourself. Um, of course, there's a lot of uses. First, I think actually a 3D printer excels in testing things out. For example, if you want to test an idea, like if you are a big company, but you want to test an idea, you can, instead of changing our factories, maybe a really different idea, you can 3D print it. You just can 3D print it and have at least a way of knowing how it will work. Especially with today's technology, where 3D metal printers exist, and there's even partially for the degree ways you at home can buy it. You just need to have spare change in your pocket. The cheapest and one of the most regulated ways for metal 3D printer. It is three parts: the printing, the I think it's dryer or something like that, and the furnace where you smelt. It's a combination. It's not. It's like the filament itself. It's not pure metal, but it is um, metal with a lot of other things, and these things melt down, and the metal stays, which is very good. Well, exists for about $50,000, which is no very expensive, but not as much as you would think, because you can experiment with pretty much anything. If you can make a 3D printer metal, you can make coils, you can make really about anything if you have a metal one. And with the plastic, you can do a lot of things too. Functional, non-functional, the list goes on. Well, but I think 3D printing itself excels in use, personal use. For example, some I have a 3D printer, and it's really fun to use. Though I have difficulties getting the settings right, even though I have this for like a week or two, I still have a lot of difficulties on getting it to work. But it's getting there. And experimental use. So something like you want to experiment a new design, new way. Sure, go 3D printer it. You don't need to change up the factory to test it out. Especially if the biggest, like in factories, there are 3D printers who can. Actually, if I remember correctly, there are supercars, the frame of supercars, who are being produced by 3D printers because supercars are very unique. They're you don't mass produce supercars, like it's not a mass produced thing. So being 3D printed is really cool and useful because I really don't know what they do in supercars. Like I know they're very expensive, um, but if I incorrect about they not being mass produced, then 3D printing one, even though it may take days because it's like meters high, sorry, more meters long, and I think meters high too. It's still better because it's not that expensive actually. Actually, it's one of our points. It's not an expensive hobby or expensive thing to do. Unless even if you are having big like, if you like want to print the finest material, you want to print in nylon this in carbon fiber that, yeah, it is pretty goddamn expensive to be honest. But it is it takes a lot of time to expand like 500 grams, especially 1 kilogram. I don't know how much this equates to pounds, so sorry about that. So yes, now where is the downsides is production, because if you want to have like a mass production thing, let's just say you won't be able to mass produce something in a 3D printer. It takes time. Also, it's kind of, especially for that's more for personal use, kind of hard to get settings right. For example, I got this tire. You can see there's a lot of stringing here. I'm still getting these things to work. But I made this really cool concept where it is a tire, and you can like, if something to press down, it would use uh, the springiness of the PLA to not crush this thing. So it's a really cool idea. But to make this happen, I found like three problems, and I really think it's strange. My printer is the Tronxy XI2 Pro. Well, it may not be working that great, but it's still a good printer. I just don't know if it is not a good printer or if I'm just not making the settings right. If you wanna see, that's all the failure you have into yet. Um, with plastic, you can see it fails very often, which is kind of bummer really. I was trying to print a lot of things and there are a lot of fails. But still, when it works really well. For example, this is an example actually. I just, yeah, I didn't, yeah, for some reason I didn't got the good examples. But well, here are another thing I didn't print. Really fine quality. There is some, yeah, the camera, yeah, focus. The camera won't focus, but there's some bumps here, but there's no problem. Oh, here an example. It is sometimes rougher on the edges, as you can see. I think it's normal. I really don't know. Maybe my 3D printer is just bad. I don't think so. But still, it's kind of turned out useless. I did it for the Kindle, but it didn't fit on the Kindle, so that was that was interesting. Well, anyway, I think 3D printer will have a great future, especially in makers' homes. for people, for experimental purposes. But it will not be like if you wanna make a cup, a plastic cup. You won't 3D print a plastic cup. Like you may in at home print a plastic cup, but really great companies will just mass produce the way they do. And if they want to test a new design, they will go for a 3D printing. So yeah, still very important technology. A lot of future. Um, a lot of things you can 3D print with PLA, with filaments, plastic, more things in plastic. It may have, it may will be the future of bakery, because if you make like a filament of chocolate, I saw some videos about people doing this. You can 3D print a perfect chocolate house, and really perfect. As there's not much competition there. Well, that's like they will go like exotic filaments part, but I think about 3D printer technology. I think it will be basically, especially in the future, more of electrodomestic than uh, different tool. The recent designs like the Faber S, which is by Faber company, it does look like a electrodomestic now. It has the case, it is really tiny, just compact, just place in there. We didn't buy the Faber because it had, especially because it has a very tiny amount where you can print, and because especially because the filament, there's like a filament port where you need to use the special parts and filaments of the company, which is kind of bummer. If I want to buy from someone else, I couldn't, and of course they're gonna make it expensive. Well, but that's my take on it. I think if you want to go for a 3D printer, go for it. Really, I don't have any drawbacks. But if you want a hobby that's like a relaxing hobby, maybe find something else, because we have a lot of failures. You fail quite often. For me, it's been failing more often than not, which is kind of sad. I'm really kind of frustrated about it. But I think it's just because I may got something overlooked, or maybe I just got the wrong printer. But I don't think it's the printer fault. It's probably my fault. Even so, if it's the printer fault, I can make it work because it has printed into there. So yeah, that's my short take on it. I hope you like this video. Remember, if you want to see more of this content or other content, subscribe to the channel and see the rest of this playlist. There's just not will be other kinds of videos, oh sorry, other videos of other topics, but it will also have in other language. So if you want to train, or if you want to hear me in Spanish, Portuguese, or if you want to try to hear me in Russian, because I know my Russian is really basic, then you can go out and see it all for yourself. So that said, I hope you like it and have a nice day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.